Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I am Shar, and I wanted to come back to you guys today and talk briefly about Chrissy Lampkin, which is Jim Jones, the rapper Jim Jones' girlfriend. She's been on television recently promoting the season 10 of Love and Hip Hop New York. She is one of the originators of that show, or maybe not, I wouldn't say the creator, one of the original creators of that show, but just one of the originators of the show. If you know anything about Love and Hip Hop, the series or the saga, they approached Jim Jones way back when for a reality show. Now, obviously, if Jim Jones was approached, clearly his life back in the day was a hot mess, just all over the place. And it was, if I'm not mistaken, because he's always been wilding out with the police and fighting and at concerts and at shows and people chasing them and all this stuff. So apparently some people saw that and was like, yeah, let's put this guy on film and let's, record his life from day to day. But he wasn't interested in it because I feel like Jim is really about that life, or at least he was early on, and he didn't want to have any parts of it. People following him and, recording what he's saying and doing. He wasn't interested. So he passed on that opportunity. However, he had a girlfriend, which is Chrissy. And I guess them two together, they was like, hey, well, I'll do it, me and my girls, or whatever the case may be, you're not interested in. Let's see if they'll holler at me and my friends. These are the rapper wives or rapper girlfriends or whatever. And the originals was Chrissy Lampkin and Emily. I'm sorry, I don't know Emily's last name, but it is the wife or fiance or girlfriend to Fabulous. I'm not sure if they're married or engaged at this point. But her, along with, what's her name? Olivia. I'm not sure of her last name either, but Olivia is a singer. She used to be a part of the G Unit. She was the only female that was ever a part of G Unit with 50 Cent. And also, Mashonda. I'm not sure of Mashonda's last name, but she was the former fiance or wife to mega producer Swiss Beats. And Misa Hilton, she is the baby mother, one of the baby mothers of P. Diddy, the first baby mama. I believe her son is Justin. So those were the originals of Love and Hip Hop New York, the girlfriends, the wives. Chrissy did a interview. It was like a recap of the original season of Love and Hip Hop New York, how it came about and everything. So it was like not really a recap, it was like a look back on how it all started. And she revealed that Misa Hilton, which is P. Diddy's baby mama, didn't want to have anything to do with it because, she was kind of comfortable with just collecting her check. And she's also like a fashionista, fashion icon type person. I believe she's a stylist. I believe she has a fashion school or something like that. And Misa, not Misa, but Mashonda, she was experiencing that breakup. That was like the beginning of the end of her relationship. So she was kind of really going through it, and I don't believe she kind of really wanted that stuff on TV. Like, she was embarrassed. She was losing her husband to Alicia Keys, but yet she was fighting to the bitter end to try to keep that relationship. So she didn't want to have anything to do with it. And so they ended up not being a part of it. I think I remember seeing Mashonda on there for a hot minute, and then I didn't see her anymore. And it was funny to find out that Emily was the only real girlfriend that Chrissy had on the show. Like she admitted that that was the only lady that she kind of really befriended. At the beginning of that show, season 1, she did not know. I'm sorry, Olivia at all. She admitted that she had only knew Olivia for 2 weeks. That's not a friendship. I mean, they're getting to know each other, and at any moment, had something went down or the wrong thing is said, they cannot be friends. I mean, they cannot be acquaintances easy because they don't have anything invested, in that friendship and in that relationship. So they had only knew each other for 2 weeks. Wow. Which explains a lot. And then with that other girl is coming back too. Samaya Reese. She didn't have a relationship with her, Chrissy said after the show. Erica Mena, well, she doesn't have a relationship with her. Yeah, so, I mean, it was interesting, some of the things that she mentioned. Yandy, she knew Yandy, obviously, because Yandy had been Jimmy's manager for a very long time before Chrissy even came into the picture. And she had basically told Chrissy that, Chrissy had basically told Yandy, like, come with me to this meeting. These people offered Jim a reality show, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with it. So I want to go basically and present to them a reality show with me and, us, our friends, the girls, the wives, the girlfriends. It's just as exciting, if not more, with all the antics with these women. She wanted to present that. So because Yandy had been a manager and she knew some people that was in the industry, in the business, she introduced Chrissy to Mona Scott Young. And they went to the meeting. Now, these are her words. She said they went to the meeting and they had the talks, and when they sat down, Chrissy admitted that before she knew it, Yandy had somehow become a producer on the show. And when she said this, she had this expression, and if you notice when she's talking in that video, her lip kind of curled, like her lip kind of curled up, like, I can't do it, but her lip kind of curled in anger, like she was pissed that somehow now she producing. She didn't know anything about it. She wasn't privy to this. I only simply asked her to come just to help me out. She is in the business a little bit. She knows a little bit about something. She's been managing my boyfriend. Kind of want her there. Maybe she can help me out. Maybe it's something that may go over my head. I don't know, that she knows, yada, yada, yada. And in the midst of all of that, you a producer? And not that she had to ask her, but it would have been nice if she could have ran that by her. That's how I'm picking it up. Like, she was pissed at her because you didn't run it by me. You didn't ask me. Maybe she did want her to ask. Maybe she wanted her to come to her or Jim first and say, these people need help with content, storylines. I kind of know a lot of people. I know Jim. I know you. I know what's happening. I know other people out here, what their life is about. I can help them come up with storylines. I can help them bring on people, because that's what the show needed early on. They needed people that knew these people, that could bring these people on and talk them into being a part of the show and opening up their lives to all who wanted to see day to day. And so, Yandy, quiet as a kept, was probably a big asset to them in, bringing forth a lot of interesting characters. But Chrissy seemed to be a little agitated about that, which, if any of you remember the first season, which is probably why she stopped liking her, because the trust was gone. Like, you kind of going over our head, and you being a manager, and you doing all this stuff, and you making this show ratchet, and just changing what we had initially wanted for the show. We kind of just wanted to, have these people speak on their lives and, go day to day, step by step. But, all the drama and, hooking people up and making certain things happen by bringing these two people together that wouldn't normally be together, that's not really what it was about, I guess, in Chrissy's head. So she was kind of pissed about that, and yeah, she was pissed. And I want you guys to go to, I believe it's the Love, no. It is the VH1 website, not the website, but it's their YouTube channel. The VH1 YouTube channel. Put in the lookup box, Chrissy Hampton Love and Hip Hop recap, I believe it's called, and let me know what you think when she talks about Yandy and how the story of the show started and wanting Yandy to go with her to talk to these people. Not really to talk to the people, but she wanted her to go with her for support, and yet she comes out and says she's a manager. A producer. She was pissed. You see her little lip kind of curl up, and you see a little animosity, a little anger there. And I want you guys to watch and let me know, what do you think? Did you see that? Did you peep that? Am I looking into it too much? Am I going overboard? But I feel like she was a little irritated, which is why their relationship disintegrated. Like, they couldn't stay friends because she began to feel like Yandy was always doing too much. But see, Yandy has her eye on the big picture too. Like, she wants to get into producing more and TV shows, and of course getting the check, making the money, which Chrissy in that first season peeped that was what Yandy was all about, like getting the money, making a check, and not really being tactful. And she was kind of crossing the lines of manager and friendship, and she was blending the two and blending information of both sides, and you kind of can't do that. You know what I mean? You got to be the manager, you keep all that information over here, and then here you got your friends. You're not really talking about your personal life or your client's personal life with your friends, because that's wrong. So, when Yandy did that, Chrissy called her out on it, which I understand that. But yeah, so I feel like Chrissy made a lot of points, and I wrote some of those points down. I called it Chrissy Looks Back on Love and Hip Hop New York Season 1. Now, I already talked about how Chrissy felt like Yandy kind of was like overstepping her boundaries and kind of was like walking over her and, going over her head and, talking to Mona Scott Young about being a producer without going over it with Chrissy. She hated that, which started, a lot of animosity between those two. And I already also talked about how a lot of the girls were not even really friends prior to the show. Chrissy revealed that she had only been friends with Olivia for 2 weeks. So that's not really a friendship. They were literally just trying to get to know each other. But another thing that I noticed was that she, to me, in my opinion, I feel like she didn't really care for Mashonda either. Because when the people asked her, do you still talk to Mashonda? She was like, no, I do not talk to Mashonda. And really, I kind of lightened it. She was kind of more like, I do not talk to Mashonda. She had a little attitude with it. So clearly she is not cool with Mashonda. She wasn't then, and she wasn't afterwards. And you know what? I feel like I have no way of knowing, of course, because I don't know either one of them personally. But I know a little bit about Mashonda, and especially in the beginning when she was going through the breakup with Switz Beats. She was just really hurt, and she was going through things. It was public. It was embarrassing. She losing her man to this big star, Alicia Keys. And I feel like Mashonda was just on this crusade. Like, I gotta be the upstanding person. I gotta be, be the bigger person. I gotta rise above, and I can't be ratchet and on here with the back and forth fighting. And I just feel like that's why she left the show, because she kind of saw what it was about early on and kind of got out of it. Even when Chrissy was a part of it, it still was a little shady. But I guess Chrissy, in her head, is like, it's enough shade. We don't want it to be no more shade than this. But when they kind of lost control of the narrative, um, that's when Chrissy was like, I'm out, because now y'all just going too far. You know what I mean? And obviously, Yandy was a part of that. She was down for that because, at this point, she's helping them come up with storylines. She's, one of the producers. So go figure. You know what I mean? But I want you guys to please check out that soundbite. It is on the Love and Hip Hop VH1 YouTube channel. Look up Chrissy season 1 recap. You will see it. Look at the interview. It's short. I think it may be about, I'm not sure. It's not even 10 minutes long. And peep how she looks when she talks about Yandy, and then peep how she looks and how she reacts when she talks about Mashonda. You can easily see there is a little animosity there. I won't say hate, but just a little animosity there. Those are obviously not her favorite people. And I feel like that Chrissy felt like Mashonda was a Miss Goody Two Shoes and was kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to be a part of it. And it probably made Chrissy feel away. And, Mashonda, I think she did the right thing. You know what I mean? No diss to the other girls that stayed. But I think Mashonda did the right thing just at the stage that she was at. If she was going through that breakup, losing her man to Alicia Keys, and then here it is, you're a part of this show that is kind of like a bunch of women arguing and fighting and having all these different types of disputes. Even if she wasn't necessarily the one that was in the fights or the arguments all the time, it was going to come off like, oh, she lost her man and this is what she is left with. Like, this is what she went off and did. Like, oh, her life, her career, it kind of went down after Swiss Beat. You know what I mean? That's how I feel like everybody was going to perceive it. Or at least I feel like Mashonda felt like everybody was going to perceive it that way. So she got out. She was like, I'm not going to be a part of it. So, yeah, but peep that. Let me know. Comment below. Tell me, did you peep it? Do you feel the same way? Like, do you feel like it was animosity there? Do you feel like Mashonda and Yandy were her favorite people? Let me know down below. Okay, and then Chrissy and Jimmy's relationship is another point I wanted to touch base on. I don't know. It's a lot of people say that, and I'm hearing this, on the airwaves. Don't get me wrong. I don't really hear anything about Chrissy Lampkin on the internet or TV, because she's not really a celebrity at all. She just has a famous boyfriend. And so because of that, the default is that you become seen in most cases. You know what I mean? You become seen, you become known, and then, she's been a part of Love and Hip Hop, so she has her own notoriety there, which it tripped me out when she mentioned that, for the longest time, she kept being associated with the show. Hello, that's what we know you for. That's the only thing we know you for outside of being with the rapper Jim Jones. Like, why do you feel like you gonna not be known for Love and Hip Hop? That was stupid to me. But anyway, a lot of people say that Chrissy has literally been talked out of having a child. She's been connived out of the reality of the blissfulness of being married. Like, Jim has talked her out of being married, has talked her out of wanting that child. But I disagree. I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like it's the other way around. I feel like Chrissy not really talked Jim out of it, but he kind of conformed to her wants, which was no children. Now, I'm not sure about the marriage. I'm not sure about the marriage. I'm not sure who's resisting on that, because the thing is, Chrissy, in my opinion, this is only my opinion. This part of it is only my opinion. I feel like Chrissy is she's strong emotionally. She's really, really strong. From what I've seen her on of her on TV, I feel like she's a strong lady, and that comes from probably growing up pretty hard. Like, she's had a hard life. She mentioned that, her parents have deceased. I think her immediate grandparents, meaning her mother and father, I think they're deceased as well, if I recall correctly. So, and I remember on something, I'm not sure if it was Love and Hip Hop or one of their other spinoffs, I remember her saying that her father had a really bad chemical dependency problem, a heroin problem to be exact. So she's grown up kind of harsh and kind of detached to her mother and father, because they were kind of out there. They were kind of like doing their own things. And, when that happens, you kind of can't be close to your parent because they're kind of involved with that. And that takes them out of the picture, right? So, with that being said, I feel like Chrissy is really, really strong emotional wise. And when you are dealing with a really, really strong woman, you come across a man that's not as emotionally strong. Now, don't get me wrong, Jim is street smart. Jim grew up in, I think, Harlem, right? So he knows the streets. He's about that life. They even talk that he may be a part of some gang, allegedly. I don't know if that's true, just allegedly, right? So he's strong in that regard, but you know, him and his mom went through something as well as when he was a kid. Like, I believe his mom, Nancy, I believe her name is, she struggled a little bit with a chemical dependency problem, and I don't want to touch bases on these people's parents being on drugs, because that's really not what this video is about. And I actually like Nancy, so I don't want to talk in detail about that, because I don't know really all the details about that stuff. But he did mention, I believe it was on the marriage boot camp show that they did, where his mom was doing her thing a long time ago when he was little, and he used to go off and find her and try to find her, and and he would come across her in these houses, the spots or whatever. And he as a kid, he was always doing that, like always going to find his mom. So with that being said, Jim, without even realizing it, without even really knowing it, he probably has separation anxiety when it comes to a woman, someone he loves, someone that he's put his heart and emotion into, which would be any girlfriend that he has that he's really into. In this case, it's Chrissy. When they talk about, oh, I'm leaving or I'm breaking up with you, that's a trigger, right? It's a trigger that, oh my God, this lady, this person I love, she's leaving me. I gotta go get her. I gotta go bring her back and find her. And that's what he kind of did on one of their, I think it was a spinoff. I think it was Chrissy and Mr. Jones, where she was talking about leaving and she wanted to go to Miami. And at the time, it was like a hangout with my girls type thing. It's too much drama here. I'm gone. And, if you remember that series, he kind of whisked off and went to Miami and got her, and basically was like, here's your ring, and engaged her at that point. So, in my head, I feel like that brought him back to, his mom leaving or his mom not really being there, and he had to go off and get her and bring her back, or whatever the case may be. So, Chrissy knows that this is a trigger for him. This is like a weak spot for him, for lack of a better term. It's a weak spot. He's not into no woman that he's into, that he loves, going off anywhere and leaving. He got to go and get them back, because that's all he knows. He got to keep that person close. And so, I don't know. She probably uses that to her advantage. I hate to say it, I don't have anything against Chrissy, but I feel like she probably uses that to her advantage. Which brings me back to the marriage and the child thing. I think just Jim conformed. He just conformed and was like, oh, well, she don't want no more kids. Boom, we're just not gonna have no more kids. She don't really want them. I can't make her have them. But I feel like Chrissy knew from day one when she got with him, like she knew she wasn't interested in no kids because it's all about her. I feel like in my head, this is just my opinion, it's all about her. Like she's not interested in sharing any of Jim's money, any of the money that she makes with a child. Like in rearing that child, money for braces, money for schools, you know what I mean, money for college, money to buy them, their first sweet 16 car, whatever that would be between the two of them. She's not interested in that. That's not what she wants because it's all about her. In my opinion, this is just my opinion. Does it make her a bad person? I don't know. Depends on how you look at it. Depends on who's thinking about it. If that's truly how she feels, and that's truly her belief, like I really don't want any kids, I guess that's her opinion. That's her choice, rather. That's just her choice. And she chooses not to have any children. I mean, some people are like that, where they truly choose not to have any. And I guess, obviously, Chrissy is one of those people. So Jim had to conform. I mean, he just had to conform. He had to get with it. Plus, she was already older, you know. So your biological clock is ticking. The later you wait, the more problems. We all know that, right? With women, the more problems, defects, abnormalities, all that stuff can be a possibility. Who wants to deal with that, right? And even though, technically she can really have one right now if she wants. I mean, obviously there are risks. There are risks, but she could have one if she really wanted one at this moment. I mean, the later she waits, I wouldn't try to have one at 50, even though Janet Jackson did it. And, I don't know what all complications she had, if any. But, you don't want to be waiting to 50 because the risks are just there. They're great, and more than likely there will be some issues. But I think Chrissy's like 48 or something, 7, I don't know. But she probably could conceive, unless you have major problems that prevent you from conceiving, then it's not going to happen. But if you don't have any problems that will prevent you from conceiving a child, then she probably could very well conceive right now. But she doesn't want to, she never had, and she ain't. And Jim has just gotten with that notion. Okay, so that was that. Oh, and like I said, on the marriage thing, I don't know. Because, like I said, Chrissy is smart. And only thing I can see where she's not pressed to actually have his last name and it be on paper, like they have a license to be married or a license in their marriage. The only thing I can see is that Jimmy has made her a part of his finances on paper. Like he's included her in his will, whatever amount that he would leave her. Her name is on property that they own. He's included her on that, regardless if she's put money into buying these properties or not. He's put her name on the deed, so she's part owner as well. So they own it together. And her name is on the will where she's getting money, substantial amount, or maybe he's made her the conservatory of it where she's getting a certain amount and she's in charge of divvying out monies to the family, which he is a very big fool if he did that, because half the time she don't even get along with his mom, less known to other people in his family that I don't even think she talks to on a regular basis. So, he has totally jumped out the window if he did that. Hopefully he just left this to his mom, this to his sister, this to his aunt, this to his nieces, whoever it is in his immediate family that he wants to leave things to. Hopefully he spelled it out in the will. Hopefully. And then he also spelled out what he's going to leave her. So, and like I said, as it stands right now in the present, she's just part owner of everything that he has. maybe not certain businesses, you know, that he had before her, like his Vamp Life clothing line. I don't think she's a part of, but she could very well be. I don't know. I don't know if she's partnered with him on the weed business because he has partners. So I don't know if she's a part of that, but maybe she's a part of his part. Maybe he cut her in on his part of the business. I don't know, but she's a part of some stuff, definitely. That's the only reason why I could see that she's not pressed to actually marry him. Because why do I need to be married to you when we go together, we live together? He ain't going nowhere. In her head, he ain't going nowhere, and I'm part owner of all your shit. You know, they don't need to be married at that point. I mean, I'm with her. Why do we need to be married if you've let me in on all your funds? I'm part owner of all your properties with you. I'm even a part of some businesses. You know, I have access to be a part of this love and hip hop thing whenever I want to be a part of it, because you know Mona Scott Young is never going to turn Chrissy away. If she ever says, I want to be on this season, I want to be on that season, she's always going to let her in. You know what I mean? They have the ability to go to the table at any network and say, hey, we want to do a show based on the ups and downs of us trying to get married. They can always keep that there, which is probably another good reason why they haven't gotten married, because they can always say, you know what, let's do another reality show about us, you know, leading us up to this marriage thing. You know, so, you know, she's smart. In my opinion, I feel like she's smart and she's working it and she's cashing in. Not that Jim is so dumb, but, you know, he's just conformed. You know, in my head, I feel like Chrissy is more emotionally stronger than Jim Jones, period. And it's because he actually loves this lady. Like, he's really, really invested in her emotionally. And when a man gets invested into a woman emotionally and they're more emotionally stronger, then they can work it. They can work it. They can work that guy. You know, that's just the way that it is. And it's all, you know, vice versa. When a man and you know, people feel like that's mainly the way that it's always been, where the man has been more emotionally stronger than the woman, so he tends to work the woman, and that's how it is in a lot of cases. But you know, you also get that flip side sometimes when the woman is more emotionally stronger than the man, and she can work him like a little string. And I feel like that is how it is with Jim and Chrissy. I hate to say that, and like I said, not to say that Jim is a weak guy, because I feel like he's not, and I feel like any woman couldn't be that or couldn't do that to him, but this one could, and this one did, and this one has, because she's strong. She's emotionally stronger, and I feel like she knows Jim's weak spot. You know what I mean? So that's just my opinion on that. That's solely my opinion. I haven't read that. No one said that. No one told me that. That's solely my opinion. And then another point I wanted to point out that Chrissy talked about in this recap of Love and Hip Hop New York Season 1 on VH1 channel, on VH1 YouTube channel, is that she mentioned, and I don't think she did it on purpose, but she kind of mentioned or what's the word I'm looking for? She kind of owned up to Emily, who is with Fabulous, the rapper Fabulous. She kind of owned up to Emily having a volatile relationship, or she called it a really, really serious or a real hard relationship with Fabulous. And that was her way of saying, like, you know, she knew about the physicalness that was going on. She knew about, like, the verbal abuse, probably. And a verbal abuse is really just him, you know, using cuss words with her. You know, maybe he called her a B, you know, but he was always saying MF and F this and F that and F you and get the F out and, you know, BFU and, you know, all that. That is considered verbal abuse, technically. You know, in the black community, I feel like when a husband and a wife or a girlfriend and a boyfriend argue, especially if they're younger, that type of stuff is said all the time, and it's not really looked at between those two people. It's not really looked at as verbal abuse. They're kind of just arguing, and this is what arguing consists of, especially if it's a serious topic. But I just feel like for others, people frown upon it, and they they're like, oh my God, he verbally abused me. You know what I mean? But don't get me wrong. I know there is a such thing as verbal abuse. It is a real thing, and it is. But when two people are arguing and they like F this and F you and mother F that and da da da, it's not necessarily verbal abuse. You guys are arguing. So when you argue, you already know it's going to be some ugly things that can be said. It may not be true, but you guys are arguing. So she kind of revealed like Chrissy was in a hard relationship. Like, so she revealed, in my opinion, I feel like she revealed that she knew all about that stuff way early on. You know what I mean? And when Chrissy and Emily was on Love and Hip Hop, that season 1, when Emily was so distraught emotionally about the breakup, that is what she was dealing with even way back then, and nobody really knew. We kind of thought that she was just dealing with the fact that he couldn't commit to her and nobody really knew about her. But not only that, all that abuse, I guess, physically and verbally that he was doing. Because she also mentioned that in part of the soundbite that she wanted Emily to know that she can always come to her and come over to her house for a getaway, for an escape, when you need to break away from all that drama. So she kind of owned up to that, that thing that went viral between them was not an isolated incident at all. Like, that kind of was going on between them two for a very, very long time. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to the show. It premieres tomorrow on VH1. It is season 10, so it has all the original cast. So, and to me, that was like the best cast anyway for Love and Hip Hop New York. After them, I kind of watched a few different seasons, but not straight through, because it just had got extremely ratchet, and some of the girls I just wasn't into. But anyway, so yes, I'm really anxious to see how this season is going to progress and turn out. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. But please check out that soundbite that I'm talking about, where Chrissy talks about how it all began, and how she responds to the question about Yandy, and how she responds to the question about Mashonda. Let me know, did I look too much into it, or does it seem like she can't really stand Mashonda, and we all know she can't stand Yandy? So let me know what you peeped from that. Comment down below. You guys, please like, comment, and subscribe if you choose, and I'll check you guys out later. Bye.